Hi, welcome to the Modern Human Podcast with your host, Wendy.
And Brenda. Hello, everyone.
Hi, guys. It's been kind of a crazy month, busy for us personally and just energetically.
What
There's
are we,
been
like
so
3
much
days
going
into the
on.
month, too? It's
Well, yeah, I
crazy.
just meant March because we haven't had a podcast in a couple weeks.
Yeah, we had, yeah.
So,
We
because
took a
we've
week
been
off.
busy.
We took a week off.
Spring
yes, we
break
did.
over here and we have kids, so there
Yes.
you go. So sending a lot of love to everybody because we know we just entered into Mercury retrograde, and we have a total solar eclipse coming up on April 8th. So that alone, and then we just had a lunar
I was going to
eclipse,
say, yeah.
right? So lots of different kinds of energies impacting.
So we know we're really
Us.
amidst change right now, and this really kind of push-pull of like one thing or the other, and just being mindful of that and sitting in that.
Just really trusting whatever arises. So even in this energy, even the stars aligning and all these things, it's all for our highest and greatest good, and it's really is meant to kind of catapult us into this new earth frequency. Truly, it's really to help us embody more light in our bodies, right, but in our bodies, in our minds, in our hearts,
Yeah.
and that means expanding our gifts. That means really living our authentic selves and our authentic lives. Just some more abundance, really.
Yeah, and one of the themes for me that's like really coming through, the help that I really feel that we're getting from outside of the universe, inside of the universe, on the planet, is this reprogramming of our beings, like what we think we know, and kind of the reprogramming, to me, what it feels like, the reprogramming of what it takes to shift from kind of this 3D to 5D frequency of functioning. So some of the thoughts that really are not authentically ours, meaning that we just bought into kind of the entrenchment of these other patterns, like, well, it's always been done like that. We've always seen men like this. We've always seen women like this. Like, so just like letting go of those things to like establish what is truly authentic for me, what is authentic for the divine feminine and the divine masculine, and integrating those belief systems, those patterns in my own world, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's some of that like chaotic kind of blowing up that's like happening around us, to help us really integrate or see like what works for you in this, not in any form of judgment will not ever find our way through there, just with acceptance and noticing, what do you see, how do you feel, what do you think, right?
Yeah, and just maybe you haven't noticed that. Maybe you've been just kind of tossed in these waters. But if you can slow down enough to begin to notice that, yeah, some of these old thoughts are really kind of taking hold, or some of this old fear energy, because it's there too, right? Is really taking a hold of you. And if that is the case, there's love there too. So slowing down, noticing that that might be happening, and kind of consciously choosing something else. There might be some parts of you there though that need your love and attention, and so do what Brenda and I always talk about is love it, validate it, right?
Hear it, see it, validate it,
All
love
of that
it. Yep.
stuff. And then if it's still there, it could just be what Brenda's talking about is more of this
Choice.
habit
Yep.
of thinking in that way, to where and then choosing differently.
Right. And oftentimes, especially in our now, there will be this kind of discipline of practice required to shift, because your psyche is going to want to go into the old and what's comfortable and what we know, especially because things do feel so uncomfortable or so new. And that's normal. So, like, really honoring that to allow us to shift into this new way of being, which it's part of our thoughts. Like, what thoughts are in alignment with what you want for your future? What thoughts are in alignment for what you want for your future? And I think noticing them is the first step, because a lot of times we have thoughts that just play out without our awareness. So being aware, noticing, and then consciously choosing, oh, wait, I don't want to be afraid. I don't want to cultivate fear of the unknown. I am afraid of it, and that matters. I am afraid of it, and I'm willing to accept it. I'm willing to allow for the unknown. I'm willing to change. I am changing. I'm stealing that from Louise Hay. Not really. I'm acknowledging it. I am willing to change. I am changing.
It.
I pretty much say that every day right now. I am willing to change. I am changing, because it just feels like there's such push trust and I get myself on board with it. I'm like, okay, I'm willing to change. I am changing. I am willing to change. I am changing.
You know, and it is interesting because there was an earthquake that just happened in Taiwan, which is devastating for some. Their lives have been lost, so sending love to that situation. And then it created a tsunami, which is symbolic of the energy that's kind of pushing us into this change. It literally is. So you can get on board and get on your surfboard and kind of have it push you, and you can enjoy it, or you can not do that.
Right, you
and
can
just
try
hold
and
on
push
tight.
back, and it's still
Yeah.
going to be here.
It's still happening. It is
Yeah.
happening, and it is symbolic of the amount of energetic change that is kind of happening within all of us,
Yeah.
and because it's happening outside of us. I feel like that's a similar message that I've been getting a lot lately, which is it is consciously choosing. It's almost like it's like for me it's been like choosing love and choosing joy, trying to find the joy, finding the love, finding the most beautiful things that happen in my day, because that frequency and making those conscious choices, because that's where we're at this blank slate. And if you're not aware of this blank, that we're at this blank slate, you're just going to go into those subconscious patterns. You're going to naturally go into woe
What
is
you've always
me,
known, yeah.
whatever. I mean, that's
Yeah.
been one of mine, like, the victimization paradigm, just all of those thoughts that could be, or judging or blaming.
Yeah.
So those are those subconscious patterns that you have to look at, but because we're at this blank slate. Or you could start consciously choosing this joy and love. It's up to you.
Yeah.
There's no truth. That's what's so kind of crazy. There's no truth like this bad things are happening. That's the truth. Or nothing but loving things are happening, and that's the truth. It's like kind of like anything and everything is possible. That's the freaking truth. And what do you choose for yourself?
Right.
What do you choose for your reality? And that's really the power that we have, which can be a little bit daunting. What do you choose? And so I feel like our psyches have a hard time with that because we want a truth. We want to know what's real, what's true.
Yeah.
Is something bad happening? Is there something I should be preparing for?
And then think about that too. Like we ask the question and then we look to these experts that don't know what we know about our own selves. So I feel like this pattern, like that's part of the things that are breaking down for me is like, well, because so and so knows more about this than me. And yet even what they were taught was in a very 3D, very dense frequency that isn't in alignment with me. So can I let go of kind of some of these, like, I don't want to say crutches, but like just
Even
systems
survival behaviors.
Right.
Even, for us, I mean, I've known poverty, right? To where it's just like, so then I'm like, I got to work, I got to do these things. So it's kind of like, so there's nothing wrong with that because it did get me out of poverty, let's say. But now those same kinds of thoughts and behaviors are now hurting me, moving into more of abundance. So I feel like that's what you're talking about.
Right.
Is like, no, they had a place, and honoring them is fine.
Right. I loved all of my teachers. I loved everything that I learned. And in this way, like allowing myself to move beyond that, of letting go of that, of saying, well, now no one outside of me knows more about me than I do.
Yeah, and that's what March was all about, is taking our power back. And more about that this year, I think, is going to come up from everything that's happening. It's just people keep taking their power back, from institutions and organizations where they've given it away.
Yeah. And so just like honoring that things are appearing to blow up a little bit right now. And again, appropriately so, because without the awareness of them, then we cannot discern or process through them. We must be aware of what really is. And in this way, we have all this help. And in our humanness, it appears like, well, why are things blowing up? And it's like, well, because it's time. It's time for these things to be exposed, in whether it's inside of us or it's in our personal lives or it's from this global place. It's time to see them, to hear them, to validate them and love them. Because from that comes growth. No matter what part of you is experiencing this, interpersonally, inside or externally, it's growth. Every time. Every single time it's growth. And I think that that's really important. And so you can allow yourself to kind of rise above it, observe it, notice how you feel, what you think. That gives you power because you're noticing your authentic experience. your truth, right? Truth is relative,
Right.
it doesn't exist, but you do have one for your own self. Um, so yeah, I just want to give a little shout out to all of us out there going, listen, you got this. Definitely, keep choosing miracles, keep staying the course. It gets a little bit tumultuous for a minute here. We're going to be talking about it more in the month to come, for sure. And you're okay, you're safe. Pull on your community, ask for help, seek out advice, and trust yourself. It's not that and someone outside of you is the expert. It's that, just help be around people that are cultivating that empowerment of you.
Yeah, so putting yourself around people that love and support you and where you can feel safe.
Yeah.
So you can explore those areas of within yourself and just keep cultivating that love within you. I mean, that's really what we're being called to do, is keep creating that sacred temple within and keep choosing love, and joy and abundance, because that truly is here too. And yeah, much more to come, but that's kind of what's going to be happening for the rest of the month a little bit, but we'll talk more about it as we go.
Yeah, a little sneak peek.
Yeah, so sending a ton of love
Yes,
to
I
all
love
of you.
you.
We're in this
I
together.
love you. Yes.